Success and equity, you'll find them at BC. Success is what you want. Equity is when we give you the tools and help to get that success. It doesn't matter who you were before. We're here to level the playing field and create a fair world where you can succeed no matter who you are, what you look like, or where you were before. We'll tell you how on BCTV.
And now your host, Francis Mayer.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for tuning into the show. On Success at Equity at BCTV, we try to teach people the ins and outs of what it takes to be successful at Bakersfield College and be one of those thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have altered the course of their lives for the better by attending classes at Bakersfield College. One thing that was wonderful about my time at Bakersfield College is that I got to meet people that I never would have gotten to hang out with before, people who didn't exactly look just like me or didn't think like I thought. But unexpectedly, besides good education, I walked away from BC with greater tolerance for my fellow man. I'm incredibly sad about the events that happened at Umpqua College, as is everybody at Bakersfield College. We have some direct connections to that school that are working on campus right now, and it was a terrible tragedy. But aside from long-term changes, I hope that for a little while, people can be more tolerant. There's almost 20,000 students at the Bakersfield College system, and we don't have any violence, thank God. And there's a great diversity at Bakersfield College, a tremendous diversity that I don't think you find anywhere else in Bakersfield, and we keep it peaceful, and it starts with tolerance. So pray for peace. And moving forward from that, we have somebody who was involved in peacekeeping and keeping the United States safe on the show today. We have a population of very special people at the Bakersfield College campus, and they're heroes, frankly. They're student veterans, and there's probably one in one of your classes. Many of them are humble about it, don't announce it, don't advertise it, but they're really special folks, and we're glad to have them at the college, and we have one with us today. Hello, Dean.
How you doing, Francis?
I'm super. I'm awesome. You have been involved with student veterans a lot because you're not just a advisor. You were also a member, isn't that right?
Right. I was in the Navy. I joined right out of high school. Went and did my 4 years, and then later on, I joined the National Guard for a few years as well. So I did my time. Yeah,
and you're compressing the storyline a little bit. You have a wonderful life today. You have a comfortable life. You get a lot of the perks that come with it. Good health care, for example, a good retirement plan. But you didn't grow up with a lot of personal security, did you?
No, I grew up with a large family. There were 7 kids and the 2 parents, and I knew for me the best way to get further in life was to eventually go to school. I wasn't ready for that right out of high school, and quite frankly, we didn't have the money for that, and I didn't know enough about community college to go through that route. And like a lot of young people, when you're 17, you think you know everything, and you're ready to move out of the house.
There are times today, as I'm rapidly approaching 40, where I'm like, God, I wish I was 17 again and had all the answers.
Oh boy,
Right.
absolutely. So realizing I need to really get over this idea that, well, I don't have money for school. I need to do something, and I've always loved military history.
You've been a history buff since most kids start liking cartoons, right?
Absolutely. Since I was 4 or 5 years old, just loved it. And so it was an easy transition. Well, it wasn't an easy transition, but it was a transition I was willing to make. Out of the 7 kids, I was the only one that went into the military. So right out of high school, or even before I graduated, I was still 17. My parents had to sign up for me. The recruiter came to the house, and they had to sign the paper so I could enlist in the Navy right out of high school. So when I graduated, I already knew I was going to be going to boot camp pretty soon.
No, and I don't mean to turn this into a recruiting thing, but I went to high school in a very small rural community where there's a wide variety of people, but there's a strong middle class. What used to be the middle class, right? And those folks didn't always go to college, and they were able to get really good jobs, but the economy has changed, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You have one of the draws of of the military, especially for middle class and lower middle class, is it's honorable work. It's security. You've got really great benefits that you would not otherwise get to have. Benefits that run the rest of your life. You mentioned, you have the VA healthcare, you have the VA home loan, you have the GI Bill, things that you would not have otherwise. And those are just the tangibles. You have the intangibles. You have things like the camaraderie. It doesn't matter if you're 100 or if you're 20. You find out you were both in the Navy, you're both in the Marines. There's that connection there that as a young person you don't really understand, but when you get older you really appreciate that. There's that bond that's there, that brotherhood, that sisterhood that's there. That's really fantastic. It really is.
Well, not only that, you were talking about the intangibles. There was a young man that I went to high school with named Josh, and he wore a Levi jacket with the sleeves torn off, I think just above the elbows. He was a Hesher. He listened to Megadeth and Metallica. He had like bad skin and looked pale from hanging out inside all the time, bro. And he had greasy hair that kind of came right down to the top of his eyes. And he left for the Marine Corps, and I never saw him again. I was walking on campus one day, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Frank Mayer, do you know where Mr. Brasu is?" And I turned around, and I was like, "Yeah, who are you?" And then I saw that, oh, my God. It was like the most crazy makeover show had run through his entire life. Yeah. His bearing was different. His posture had changed. He went from a boy of the boyest to a man in less than a year. What a tremendous metamorphosis. I don't know of too many things in life that could do that for somebody.
It is amazing what you can do when somebody makes you do it. one of the things that the NCOs and the company commanders in the Navy, they're called DIs in the Marines and the Army, one of the sayings was, "I can't make you do anything you don't want to do, but I can make you wish you had." But they're trying to get you somewhere. They're trying to get you to where you can do this. You think you can't do this, but you absolutely can. And there's a sense of accomplishment when you finish boot camp, and then you finish your school, and then you go to your unit, and you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. And as a young person, it's almost like you don't get it at the time, but when you get out, for me, when I got out, twiddled my thumbs for 2 years, then I finally got serious. I got to get back to school.
And I was going to ask you about that. So you go from an environment, which, by the way, I think we do the same thing at BC, but academically. There are people who think that they're not smart enough, can't pass 1A or whatever, and lo and behold, people do every semester, hundreds of them, right?
Absolutely. And it's a matter of how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
And our job at BC, whether you're a dean, whether you're a faculty member, whether you're the president, is what we like to call intrusiveness. You're getting a hold of them. You can do this. Gone are the days to where, well, that's your grade. You can try it if you want to. No, we're not going to let you fail. You can do this. You are smart. You got through high school. You're here now. You can do this. And a lot of the times it's simply a particular hurdle they need to get over. For some, there's many hurdles, but those can be overcome. And yes, you have that personal grit, but you have all these support systems at BC that are available. And for veterans, not just at BC, but out in the community as well. And you've got to go out and really grab that. And when I went back to school, a lot of it was that personal grit. I'm going to do this. I remember walking on campus my first day of community college, and I told myself, I will not quit until I get a master's. I verbally said that to myself as I was crossing the street. I was by myself, and I spoke those words out loud.
To where were you walking to?
I was walking to College of the Sequoias in Visalia.
Nice.
I said, I will not stop until I get done. And it was all of that discipline that you learned that I figured out, if I can do this other stuff over here, I can do that.
Well, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. You glossed over something real quick, and I think that it's one of the greatest difficulties that faces us when we try to make a change in our lives, and that's when you get caught like in the pit of indecision. And for you, it lasted 2 years. You said you twiddled your thumbs after you got out of this very prescribed environment of the U.S. military. And I imagine that's a tough transition, going from having somebody telling you when to brush your teeth or when you can sleep or bathe to whatever you want.
Looking back, I was lost, and I didn't realize I was lost.
Okay.
You have an identity. I was a corpsman. I was the medic. I was stationed with the Marines. I was Doc. They didn't even call me by my name. They didn't say, "Hey, Beckworth." It was just Doc. You're the guy they come to when they get hurt, they get sick, and I get out. I'm just another guy on the street. Yeah. I got to go find a place to live. I got to move back in with my parents. And I got a car I got to pay for now. And you just start going through the motions. And I did. I kind of felt like lost. Well, what am I really doing? And the change for me, it really was a spiritual change, in that I think as a young person, I knew I was smart, but then I kind of goofed off. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I thought I wasn't. And I finally realized, no, wait, I am smart. I can do this. And some people think, well, that's just arrogance. Well, no, it's not.
No.
That's self-confidence. If you think you're arrogant by saying that, then you're probably going to live a mediocre life.
Well, you absolutely are, because I've met people, and I'm sure you have too, that aren't off the charts brilliant. We have some professors at the college who are off the charts brilliant, but then you meet people sometimes who are multimillionaires in some sort of industry or what have you, and you talk to them and you realize they just have a lot of common sense. They're not especially, they're not going to discuss, the economic reasons behind the Civil War with you, but they can tell you about good customer service. You know what I mean?
You find your strength.
Yeah.
And you build on that. You don't concentrate on what you're not good at.
Yeah.
I'm really good at history, not really good on the sciences. Okay, so I'm not going to dwell on the fact that I'm not great on the sciences.
You're not going to become a scientist.
I'm going to leave that to the professionals.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be a professional over here on this end. And a lot of that, it comes back to that self-confidence of finding that particular niche. And I think everybody has that.
But you were lucky to know going in what you wanted to do at Bakersfield College, because you've been passionate about history since you were 4 years old. But for the person who isn't, don't let that stand in the way of you coming, because we have a million different things for you to try at the college, and we have people that you can talk to who can help you narrow it down, right?
We have a fantastic counseling department. We have fantastic counselors, fantastic educational advisors that can put students onto that right path. How many people right out of high school know what they want to do with their lives and actually do it? People change majors 4 or 5 times in their college career, and that's okay. You're trying to figure out what do you want to do. These are very personal decisions, because you're not just saying, "Oh, I want to own my own auto shop for a living." It's not that. You're telling yourself, "What was I made for? Why am I on this earth? I just don't want to have a job that I go to and then I come home. What's my purpose?" And a lot of that is going to be tied up in what you end up doing 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day for the majority of your adult life. So when you come into the counseling department, we have great counselors in CTE, in the nursing area, in athletics, to help you think about these kinds of things, and we'll give you a really good educational plan to make that happen.
Yeah, and there's careers out there that you haven't thought of yet, trust me. I mean, we talk to our coaches sometimes and say to them, like, did you realize that this is how you were going to make a life in athletics? Because everybody in high school thinks, oh, maybe I could play in the NFL. Hey, our coaches, they're doing all right. They're doing okay. We're going to talk more about the keys to success at Bakersfield College, what it can do for you, and the modern veteran experience coming up next. Well, stick around.